All right, hello everyone. Tyler King here alongside Vinny Benedetto with the Denver Gazette. After the highlight of the Nuggets season so far, only 8 games in, Vinny, but undoubtedly the win of the season so far for the Nuggets. They beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. What was it, 124 to 122, snapping a 4-game losing streak against the Thunder overall, and a 4-game losing streak against them here at Ball Arena. They have not beaten the Thunder here in Denver since I think it was October of 2022. So it's a team that's obviously had the Nuggets had the Nuggets number for the last couple year, 18 months ish, and they're able to get a win against their almost full strength lineup. They're missing some guys, but definitely healthier than the Nuggets are at this point. And the Nuggets, along with their young guys, able to kind of get a win, and just feels like this could be one that heading into a stretch where you're going to be without Aaron Gordon for a while could be a boost for all of the guys as they head into a pivotal stretch of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. These last 2 games for sure should provide some confidence for the Peyton Watsons. Christian Braun has been really solid all season, so I don't think that's an issue for him. But Julian Strawther was great on Monday night. Had a bit of a struggle offensively tonight, but I think this win tonight was just massive for the confidence of a young group that's going to kind of have to figure things out here over the next couple of weeks without Aaron Gordon against what was clearly the best team in the Western Conference coming in.
Yeah, I mean that's the first loss of the season for the Thunder. They fall to 8-1. Obviously, they had a really impressive win against a fully healthy Nuggets team on opening night just a couple weeks ago. But yeah, you mentioned the young guys, Braun, Strawther, Watson. They all closed the game. Michael Malone was kind of riding them alongside MPJ and Nikola Jokic down the stretch there. Despite Russell Westbrook, I think he had a team high 29 points. I mean, it was easily his best game as a Nugget, but he wasn't even out there for the closing minutes. I mean, quickly on Peyton Watson, obviously he gets the block on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's his game-winning attempt. He was kind of talking in the locker room after the game about how he remembered the game winner Shai hit against him last December here in another really epic game, but he kind of gets his revenge. He says it's a play he thinks about all the time. But I mean, just obviously he's going to be the guy. He was in the starting lineup tonight in place of Aaron Gordon. He's going to be the guy that is going to be counted on going forward here for the next couple of weeks without AG. I mean, what are you looking to see from him building off this performance, as he's obviously going to need to step his game up on both ends of the floor?
Yeah, and I think the defense is something that he's shown he flashed for most of the last season. I think he's got the potential to be a really high level defender in this league. So I think that's where it's going to start for him. Is that's going to be the baseline. Is can he give you a solid defensive performance night in and night out? And then the offensive stuff, I think, is just going to be gravy. Tonight was, I think, a second game in a row where he hit a clutch three. Might have been the second game in a row where it was one of those no, yes kind of threes for Michael Malone in the bench. But he's a confident young guy, and I think he's shown that he's able to kind of rise to the moment here. And the start of the season was a kind of rough one for him. He wasn't able to play in the preseason at all. Yeah. So I think as he kind of continues to get in game shape and kind of gets into the flow of the game, I think that'll really help him moving forward for the 2 or 3 weeks that the Nuggets look like they'll be without Aaron.
Yeah, and you mentioned Christian Braun has been really solid to start the season. Just some of the numbers I wanted to mention. He had 24 points tonight. Somehow wasn't his career high. He had 25 in a game last season. But through 8 games so far this season, he's got averaging 16 points per game on 65% true shooting, 54% from the field, 46 from 3, which is probably the biggest number there. But he's also averaging 1 steal and 1 block per game. So typical Christian Braun doing it on both ends of the floor. But it just feels like there might be a leap happening this year. And we talked before about how the KCP loss might not be as big of a deal, especially mainly in the starting lineup. The bench is a different story. But Christian Braun has filled that role so well, and he might even be definitely surpassing expectations at this point.
Yeah, and those numbers you just dropped are pretty gaudy, especially the shooting numbers. Yeah. And I'm not sure, how sustainable that's going to be. I don't think he's going to be shooting north of 40% from 3. But what he does on the defensive end is so important, and I think he's also an underrated cutter. Yeah. And I think that is really important whenever you're playing alongside Nikola Jokic, because he's going to find you. So yeah, I don't think you can ask much more out of CB to start the season. And he's doing this while taking on the assignments of not as much tonight as in the opener, but he's guarding the Shai Gilgeous-Alexanders, the James Hardens, whoever the opposing team's top perimeter threat is. He's taking that assignment on, and it feels like, for most of the season, he's been up to the challenge.
We're almost 5 minutes in here. We've barely mentioned Nikola Jokic, who had one of the more impressive stat lines we've seen, and he's kind of made a habit of making impressive stat lines. Officially, I think it was 23 points, 19 rebounds. It was 20. I think it got corrected to 19 to go with 16 assists. I said to someone who I was sitting next to during the game that I thought Joker was on his way to a 20-20 game, although I thought it was going to be with assists and not rebounds, because I think he had a double-double at halftime with points and assists. But just one of those incredible games where he kind of carries them throughout the game, and then he gets some help from his supporting cast late in the third quarter and then in the fourth quarter. But where does this one rank in terms of recent memory? And obviously not all time, but recent memory for Nikola, and just kind of the performance, given the stakes of the game and the opponent, and just kind of the overall atmosphere coming into the game. Felt like the Nuggets were just, I think the crowd even says it too. It's like, this team's kind of had their number recently, but he does what he needs to do as they overcome a 16-point deficit in the second half and pull away for this win.
Yeah, the problem is there are so many games like these where it's hard to come up with like a clear rank in your head. Like, he's got 4 triple-doubles through 8 games to start the season. He's averaging a triple-double now, and it's not really close. But yeah, I think this is, given the stakes like you mentioned against, the best team in the Western Conference, I think this has clearly got to be his best game to start the season. And he just has a way of doing it in so many different ways. And, we heard quite a bit from Michael Malone after this game about Joker's defense, which is something that, not a lot of people will give credit to, but the Nuggets kind of ran that 3-2 zone. Yeah. And Jokic was kind of like the tip of the spear there. And this is a stat Malone keeps, but he said Joker had 8 deflections today. So to go with 2 blocks and 2 steals. So when you mix in the efficient offensive production and kind of what he was able to do defensively, I think this is there's got to be his best game of the season by far.
All right, we'll wrap this up with just, we plan on doing this video after the game, just kind of doing a quick temperature check on the Nuggets after, 8 games into the season, kind of assuming that the Thunder would cruise to a win against a shorthanded Nuggets team. But, just how big of a boost do you feel like this can be for the next couple weeks? Obviously, we're not sure when Jamal Murray is going to be back and out of that concussion protocol and back, and obviously Aaron Gordon's going to be out for a couple weeks. So it's going to be these young guys like we talked about: Julian Strawther, Peyton Watson, Christian Braun, even Hunter Tyson's getting some more run off the bench. Zeke Naji played 10 minutes tonight. He was kind of the backup 5. So just how big of a boost do you feel like this can be to carry the Nuggets into that kind of Christmas area where it feels like maybe they'll be back to full strength by then?
Yeah, I think it's really important just because this was a night where they won it in different ways. There was obviously, the offense kind of leads the way, especially against a Thunder team that was holding teams to like 95 points coming in. So to drop 124 and do it in the manner they did, I think it's got to be great for confidence. And, first probably 5 or 6 games of the season, it was like you were either getting really good Russell Westbrook or you were getting really bad Russell Westbrook. I think tonight and then even Monday, there was a little bit of consistency from Russ, and he's consistently through these last 2 games playing at a really high level. So I think they're just kind of finding, different avenues to get wins. And I think that's a really important thing for this team this early in the season.
All right, that'll do it from Vinny and I here from Ball Arena, from the Nuggets' biggest win of the season to date so far. Really early, but make sure to stay tuned with all Vinny's coverage this weekend. The Nuggets have this extended homestand here. The Heat are going to be in town on Friday night.
Mavericks on Sunday.
And Memphis on Sunday. So 2 pretty good games. Some big stars coming to town. So make sure to follow Vinny on all social media. Make sure to see all of his content on DenverGazette.com through this extended homestand here.